The great crystal dome of Nexus Prime sparkled under 3 different suns. Inside the massive building, representatives from 847 different worlds sat in their special seats. Each seat was made for a different type of alien body. Some beings needed water to breathe. Others needed thick gas or cold air. The technology kept everyone alive and comfortable in the same room. Ambassador Tai Min walked slowly down the main path. His blue skin showed his age through deep lines around his eyes. As an Althari, he had lived for over 400 years. He had seen many changes in the galaxy. But one thing never changed: the rule. "The meeting will start soon," said a young voice behind him. Taman turned to see Commander Boram, a Krillian officer. Her red scales shined under the dome lights. She was barely 50 years old, which made her very young by galactic standards. "Yes, Commander. Another day, another discussion about trade routes and mining rights," Taman replied. He had been to thousands of these meetings. They were usually boring. Boram looked confused. "Sir, I have been thinking about something. Why do we never talk? About the humans? They have a whole solar system. It must have good planets and resources. Why do we ignore them?" Taman stopped walking. Other aliens nearby turned to look at them. The question made everyone nervous. Even asking about humans was considered bad luck by most species. "Young Commander," Taman said quietly, "that is not a question you should ask in public." "But why not?" Boram pressed on. "I have read the basic files. They live on one planet called Earth. They have some space stations and small colonies on nearby worlds. Their technology looks old. Their ships are slow. Why are we afraid of them?" Before Taman could answer, another voice spoke up. "Because, child, some sleeping dogs should never be woken up." Elder Wu Jin moved toward them on his 6 legs. The ancient Vorthak was over 800 years old. His gray shell had many battle scars from wars long ago. Few beings in the galaxy were older than him. Even fewer remembered the time before the rule. "Elder," Boram said, bowing with respect, "I meant no harm with my question. I just want to understand." Wu Jin looked at her with his 4 eyes. "Understanding is good, young one, but some knowledge comes with a price. Walk with me." The 3 aliens moved away from the crowd. They found a quiet corner where no one could hear them. Wu Jin checked that no recording devices were nearby. "What I tell you must never leave this conversation," the elder said. "Do you both promise this?" Taman and Boram nodded. "Good. Now, Commander Boram, you asked why we fear the humans. The answer is simple. We do not fear them because they are strong. We fear them because we have seen what happens when they become angry." Boram leaned forward. "What do you mean?" Wu Jin was quiet for a long moment. His eyes looked far away, as if seeing old memories. 300 years ago, the galaxy was different. We had wars all the time. Species fought species. Empires rose and fell. It was chaos. The humans were part of this chaos. They had colonies on maybe 20 worlds. Their military was small but tough. They minded their own business mostly. They traded fairly and kept their promises. Most species liked dealing with them. "What changed?" Taman asked. Even he had never heard this complete story. "The hegemony of Zul'Ka changed everything," Wu Jin continued. "They were a military empire from the Outer Rim, very strong, very cruel. They decided that humans would make good slaves. Human bodies were similar to theirs, but humans were smarter and worked harder." Boram felt a chill run down her spine. "What happened?" "The Zul'Ka attacked human colonies without warning. They killed millions of humans. They took millions more as slaves. They destroyed human trade ships and military bases. They thought it would be easy to defeat such a small empire." Wu Jin paused. The dome lights dimmed as one of the suns set outside. The humans sent messages asking for help. They called on their allies. They begged the galactic community to stop the attacks. But everyone was afraid of the Zul-Ka. No one helped the humans. We all watched as they suffered. "That is terrible," Boram whispered. "But what does this have to do with the rule?" "Everything, child. Because after 6 months of watching their people die, the humans stopped asking for help. They stopped sending messages. Their space went completely quiet. The Zul-Ka thought they had won. They thought the humans had given up." The elder's voice became very quiet. 3 days later, every single Zul-Ka world went silent. "All of them, at exactly the same time." Boram stared at him. "All of them? But they had hundreds of worlds, billions of soldiers." "Yes, the human response was not a war. It was not a battle. It was complete destruction. When other species finally sent ships to check, they found nothing. No Zul-Ka cities, no Zul-Ka ships, no Zul-Ka people. Even their planets were changed. The humans had removed every trace that the Zul-Ka had ever existed." Taemin felt sick. The entire species? Gone. But that was not the end. The humans sent a message to every government in the galaxy. It was very short. It said, "We asked for help. You chose to watch. We will remember this. Leave us alone, and we will leave you alone. Bother us again, and you will join the Zul-Ka." The 3 aliens sat in silence. Around them, the great dome filled with the sounds of normal politics, trade deals and border disputes, small problems that seemed very important. After that, Wu Jin finished, the humans went home. They closed their borders. They stopped trading with other species. They became quiet neighbors who bothered no one. And we created the rule to make sure no one ever bothered them again. "But Elder," Boram said slowly, "that was 300 years ago. Maybe they have changed. Maybe they are not dangerous anymore." Wu Jin laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Child, in those 300 years, do you know how many times humans have broken the rule? How many times they have attacked other species? How many? 0. Not once. They keep their promises. They stay in their space. They bother no one. But every year, our sensors show that their technology gets better. Every year, they become stronger. The sleeping giant grows more powerful while it sleeps." "Then why are we afraid?" Boram asked. "Because," said a new voice, "some of us remember that the Zul-Ka were not weak." Admiral So-Ra approached their group. She was human, one of only 12 humans who worked with the galactic government. Her job was to handle the few times when contact with Earth was necessary. "Admiral," Taemin said with respect, "we did not see you arrive." So-Ra smiled, but her eyes were serious. "I heard young Commander Boram asking about my people. I thought I should help answer her questions." Boram looked embarrassed. "I am sorry, Admiral. I meant no insult to your species." "No insult taken," So-Ra replied. "Your questions are natural. But Elder Wu Jin is right. The rule protects everyone. It protects you from us, and it protects us from having to make difficult choices." "What do you mean?" Boram asked So-Ra. Looked out at the great dome, where hundreds of species work together in peace. "This," she said, pointing at the scene, "all of this exists because my people stay home. The day someone forces us to leave Earth again is the day this peace ends." If summoned by her words, a young assistant ran up to their group. The alien was breathing hard and looked scared. "Admiral So-Ra, Elder Wu Jin, you must come quickly. We have received emergency signals from the Outer Rim. The hegemony of Veltar has launched military ships toward the Sol system." The blood drained from So-Ra's face. Wu Jin closed his eyes in despair. Taemin felt the universe shift around him. "How long until they reach Earth?" So-Ra asked quietly. 6 days, Admiral." So-Ra turned to look at the great assembly of the galactic community. 847 species working together in peace and prosperity. All of it built on one simple rule that was about to be broken. "Elder," she said to Wu Jin, "I think it is time you told everyone the complete truth about what happened to the Zul-Ka." The old alien nodded slowly. "Yes, they should know what is coming." The morning sun rose over the city of New Seoul on Earth. Dr. Hyun-soo stood at his laboratory window, watching people walk to work on the clean streets below. Children played in the parks while their parents talked and laughed. Everything looked peaceful and normal. But Hyun-soo knew this peace was about to end. "Sir, we have the final reports from the outer sensors," said Engineer Da-un as she entered his office. She carried a thick folder of papers and looked worried. Hyun-soo turned from the window. "What do they tell us?" "The alien ships are definitely coming here. Our hidden sensors count at least 50,000 warships. They will reach our solar system in 4 days. Da-un put the folder on his desk. "Their technology is advanced, much better than what most galactic species use." Hyun-soo nodded. He had expected this. For 300 years, humans had been preparing for this day, the day when someone would break the rule. "Have you told Director Sung-ho?" he asked. "Yes, sir. He is calling an emergency meeting of the Human Council in 1 hour. He wants you there." Hyun-soo picked up the folder and walked toward the door. "Da-un, start activating the Jupiter protocols, and send a message to Captain Ji-won on the Aegis station. Tell her it is time." Da-un's face became serious. "All of them, sir?" "All of them." As Hyun-soo walked through the research center, everything around him looked normal. Scientists worked on peaceful projects, students learned about art and music, families lived happy lives. But hidden beneath this normal world was something else, something that had been growing quietly for 3 centuries. The elevator took him, down many levels below the surface. The deeper he went, the more the building changed. The walls became thicker, the technology became more advanced. Security became tighter. At the bottom level, he entered a room that few humans had ever seen. Giant screens covered the walls. Complex machines hummed quietly. This was the Solar Defense Center, the heart of Earth's true military power. Dr. Hyun-soo called Captain Sung-min from across the room. "The Human Council is ready for your report." Hyun-soo walked to the main screen. On it, he could see the faces of the 12 people who led humanity. They sat in different cities around Earth. But the technology made it seem like they were all in the same room. "Council members," Hyun-soo began, "the situation is confirmed. The hegemony of Veltar has sent a massive military force to our solar system. They intend to invade Earth." Director Sung-ho spoke first. "Do we know why they chose to break the rule?" "Our agents in the galactic community report that the hegemony believes we are weak. Their scouts saw our outer colonies and judged our technology to be primitive. They think we will be easy to conquer." Council member Hae-won, who was responsible for military planning, asked, "What do their forces look like?" Hyun-soo touched the screen and new images appeared. 50,000 warships. Each one is 2 kilometers long. They carry advanced weapons and strong shields. By galactic standards, this is enough force to destroy 100 normal civilizations. The council members looked at each other. Some seemed worried. Others seemed angry. "How long do we have?" asked Council Member Min-ki. 4 days until they reach the edge of our solar system. 6 days until they reach Earth." Director Seung-ho was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke to the whole council. "My friends, we have known this day would come. For 300 years, we have prepared for it. The question now is simple. Do we run and hide in other galaxies, or do we remind the universe why the rule existed?" Council Member So Young spoke up. "If we run, they will follow. If we hide, they will find us eventually. And if we do nothing, other species will think we are weak. The rule will be broken forever." "Then we are agreed," Sung-ho said. "We fight, but not like other species fight. We fight like humans, all 12 council members voted yes. Dr. Hyun-soo, Sung-ho continued, you have full authority to activate all defense systems. Captain Sung-min, begin Phase 1 military preparations. I will send messages to our people throughout the solar system. As the meeting ended, Hyun-soo felt a strange mixture of sadness and excitement. Sadness because the peace was ending. Excitement because humanity would finally show its true strength. He walked to the main control panel and placed his hand on a red scanner. Computer, this is Dr. Hyun-soo. Authorization code, Sleeping Giant Alpha 77. The computer's voice was calm. Authorization accepted. Please state your command. Activate all hidden defense systems. Begin military production protocols. Wake up the fleet. Confirmed. Activating hidden systems throughout the solar system. Across the solar system, things that had seemed normal for centuries began to change. Asteroids that looked like rocks opened up to reveal massive weapons. Space stations that appeared to be simple research centers unfolded into battleships. Even Earth's moon, which had been hollow for 200 years, began to show its true purpose as a giant fortress. On the orbital defense platform Aegis, Captain Ji-won received her orders. She had been waiting for this message her entire life. Her platform looked like a normal space station to outside observers. But inside, it contained technology that could destroy planets. Attention all crew, she announced over the ship's communication system. This is not a drill. We have received activation orders. All personnel report to battle stations. Begin military operations immediately. Her crew had trained for this day, but they had never expected it to really happen. Within minutes, the Aegis began to transform. Hidden armor plating slid into place. Weapon systems that had been disguised as scientific equipment revealed their true nature. The platform's engines, which had seemed slow and weak, showed their real power. Similar changes were happening throughout the solar system. On Mars, underground factories that had been silent for decades began producing warships at incredible speed. On Europa, weapons that could manipulate gravity itself were being prepared. In the asteroid belt, mobile battle stations that had pretended to be mining platforms began moving toward the system's edge. But the biggest changes were happening on Earth itself. In the deep oceans, massive ships that had been sleeping on the sea floor began to rise. These were not normal spaceships. They were planet killers, designed to end entire civilizations if necessary. In Earth's cities, the people continued their normal lives, but now they knew what was coming. Humans did not panic. They did not run in fear. Instead, they prepared with calm efficiency. Schools became training centers. Factories began making military equipment. Every human adult reported to their assigned military unit. Even children learned how to help with the war effort. This was not because humans loved war. It was because they understood something that other species had forgotten. Sometimes peace can only be protected by being stronger than those who would break it. Engineer Da-yoon worked around the clock to prepare Earth's ultimate defenses. These were weapons so powerful that they had never been tested. Weapons that could make stars explode or turn entire planets into dust. How long until the fleet is ready? She asked her assistant, Kai-ho. The first wave will be ready in 3 days, he replied. The full fleet will be ready in 7 days. That might be too late, Da-won said. The aliens will be here in 4 days. Ki-ho smiled. Ma'am, you forget. We don't need the full fleet to handle 50,000 alien ships. The first wave will be more than enough. Da-yoon looked at the numbers on her screen. Ki-ho was right. The first wave would consist of only 5,000 human ships, but each one was more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. On the 4th day, long-range sensors detected the alien fleet approaching the edge of the solar system. The ships were massive and impressive. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. Their shields sparkled like stars. Captain Sung Min of the survey vessel Golden Dawn watched the alien fleet through his ship's sensors. He was one of the few humans who still traveled outside the solar system, gathering information about the galaxy. He sent a coded message back to Earth. Enemy fleet confirmed. 50,000 ships as expected. They are broadcasting messages demanding our immediate surrender. They promise to treat us well if we give up without fighting. The message was received by Director Seung-ho, who was now in the main command center beneath Geneva. He read it and smiled coldly. "Send a reply," he ordered. "Tell them we decline their generous offer." The alien fleet's commander was War Admiral Kyung-soo of the Veltar hegemony. He had conquered dozens of worlds and enslaved millions of beings. When he received the human response, he laughed. "These primitives think they can fight us," he told his officers. "They have a few hundred small ships at most. We have 50,000 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. This will be the easiest conquest in our history." But as his fleet moved deeper into the solar system, strange things began to happen. Asteroids that should have been empty rocks began moving. Space stations that looked abandoned started broadcasting military signals. Even the planets themselves seemed to be watching the approaching fleet. "Sir," called his sensor officer, "I'm reading some unusual energy signatures throughout this system." "Explain," Kyung-soo ordered. "The humans seem to have more military installations than we thought. Much more." Kyung-soo frowned. "How many more?" The sensor officer looked confused. "Sir, I can't get an accurate count. Every time I scan a new area, I find more hidden bases. It's like the entire solar system is one giant military base." War Admiral Kyung-soo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Victory. Through the massive viewing window, he could see his fleet of 50,000 warships moving through space like a deadly cloud. Each ship was a masterpiece of military technology. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields could stop the most powerful attacks known to the galaxy. "Sir, we are now entering the inner solar system," reported his navigation officer, Commander Min-ho. "The human homeworld should be visible soon." Kyung-soo smiled. He had conquered 47 worlds in his career. Each time, the enemy had tried to negotiate. They had begged for mercy. They had offered tribute and surrender. But these humans had been silent since their first refusal to surrender. "Perhaps they are too primitive to understand what is happening," he said to his officers. "No matter. We will teach them." Behind him, his science officer, Dr. Yoon-ji, was studying her instruments. With a confused expression, "Sir, I am detecting some unusual readings from the system." "What kind of readings?" Kyung-soo asked, not really interested. He was focused on the approaching planet Earth. "The asteroids, sir. Many of them are not natural. They appear to be artificial structures made to look like rocks." Kyung-soo finally turned to look at her. "Artificial? You mean the humans built fake asteroids?" "Yes, sir. And there are thousands of them. Maybe tens of thousands. They all contain advanced technology." For the first time, Kyung-soo felt slightly worried. "What kind of technology?" "I cannot tell. Sir, it is shielded from our sensors, but the power readings are very high." Kyung-soo thought about this news. Even if the humans had hidden weapons in asteroids, what could they do against 50,000 warships? "Continue the attack," he ordered. "All ships, prepare for battle." The hegemony fleet moved deeper into the solar system. As they passed the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, nothing happened. The fake asteroids remained still and quiet. "See?" Kyung-soo said to Dr. Yoon-ji. "Even if they have weapons, they are too scared to use them." But he spoke too soon. "Sir!" shouted the sensor officer. "New contacts! Thousands of them!" On the main screen space around the fleet suddenly filled with new ships. They had appeared as if from nowhere. These were not the primitive vessels the hegemony had expected. These ships were sleek and deadly, with designs unlike anything in the galaxy. "Where did they come from?" Kyung-soo demanded. "The asteroids, sir." "They were not asteroids at all. They were camouflaged battle stations. And, sir, I'm reading more ships coming from every direction. Admiral Jae-hyun commanded the human fleet from his flagship, the Terra's Wrath. His ship alone was larger than most hegemony vessels, but it had been completely invisible until now. Human stealth technology was centuries ahead of anything the galaxy had seen. All ships, he broadcast to his fleet. You know your orders. Show them why the rule existed. The Battle of Jupiter's Shadow began without warning. The humans did not announce their attack. They did not give ultimatums. They simply began destroying the enemy with cold efficiency. The first wave of human weapons was unlike anything the hegemony had ever faced. Energy beams that passed through shields as if they were not there. Missiles that could change direction and speed in ways that defied physics. Weapons that seemed to attack the enemy ships from inside their own hulls. "Return fire!" Kyung-soo screamed. "All ships, attack!" The hegemony fleet responded with the fury of 50,000 warships. Their weapons lit up space like a new sun. Energy, beams, plasma cannons, and fusion missiles filled the void between the fleets. But something was wrong. The human ships were not where they appeared to be. The hegemony weapons passed through empty space while the human ships continued their attack from different positions. "Sir, our weapons are not hitting them," reported the weapons officer. "It is like they are ghosts." "That is impossible," Kyung-soo shouted. "No technology can do that!" Dr. Yoonji was working frantically at her station. "Sir, I think I understand. They are not just using stealth technology. They are manipulating space itself. They can be in one place while appearing to be in another." The battle continued, but it was not really a battle. It was a demonstration. The humans were showing the hegemony the difference between advanced technology and true technological superiority. Human ships moved through space like they were dancing. They appeared behind enemy vessels, destroyed them with single shots, then vanished before the hegemony could respond. Groups of enemy ships would suddenly find themselves trapped in areas where space itself had changed, crushing them without. The humans firing a single weapon. "Sir, we have lost 30% of the fleet," reported Commander Min-ho. His voice was shaking with fear. "How is that possible?" Kyung-soo demanded. "We outnumber them 10-1. "Sir," said Dr. Yeon-ji quietly, "I do not think we outnumber them. My sensors show at least 50,000 human ships. But I also detect weapons platforms, defense stations, and other military installations throughout this system. I think the entire solar system is a weapon." As if to prove her point, Earth's moon suddenly revealed its true nature. The surface opened like a flower, showing massive weapons that had been hidden inside. These weapons fired once, and an entire section of the hegemony fleet simply ceased to exist. "Retreat!" Kyung-soo finally screamed. "All ships, retreat!" But retreating was not easy. The humans had surrounded the hegemony fleet completely. Every escape route was blocked by human ships or weapons platforms. "Sir, they are not letting us leave," Min-ho reported. Admiral Jae-hyun's voice came over the communication system, speaking in perfect hegemony language. "War Admiral Kyung-soo, this is Admiral Jae-hyun of the Human Defense Force. You came to our home uninvited. You came to kill our people and steal our worlds. Did you think we would simply allow you to leave when you decided you had made a mistake?" "Admiral," Kyung-soo replied, trying to sound calm, "we were misinformed about your capabilities. We are willing to negotiate. We can pay tribute. We can offer trade agreements." "You misunderstand," Jae-hyun replied. "We are not interested in your tribute or your trade. We are interested in making sure this never happens again." "What do you want?" Kyung-soo asked. "We want you to send a message to your people. Tell them what you have seen here. Tell them what happened to your fleet. Make sure they understand that the rule exists for their protection, not ours. You will let us go if we do this?" There was a long pause. "War Admiral, you will understand our answer when you see what we do to your home." "Worlds?" Kyung-soo felt his blood turn cold. "Our home worlds? You cannot reach our home worlds. They are hundreds of light years away. Are they? Jae-hyun asked. Computer, show the Admiral what is happening to Veltar Prime. On the screen of the Eternal, Victory, an image appeared. It showed the hegemony capital world, Veltar Prime. But the planet was not alone. Surrounding it were human warships, not copies of the ships in this battle, but different ships, larger ships, more advanced ships. This is impossible, Kyung-soo whispered. How did you get ships there so fast? Admiral, Jae-hyun said, you assume that the ships you are fighting are our only fleet. You assume that the technology you are seeing is our best technology. You assumed that we needed time to reach your worlds. You were wrong about everything. On the screen, the human fleet around Veltar Prime began its attack. But this was not like the battle in Earth's solar system. This was not a demonstration. This was execution. The weapons that destroyed Veltar Prime were not energy beams or missiles. They were something far worse. The planet itself began to come apart, breaking into smaller and smaller pieces until nothing remained but cosmic dust. You destroyed our capital, Kyung-soo screamed. No, Jae-hyun replied calmly. We removed a threat. The same threat that your people have been to 200 other worlds. The same threat you came here to be to us. Similar scenes were happening throughout hegemony space. Every military base, every weapons factory, every ship construction facility was being systematically destroyed by human forces that had appeared as if from nowhere. How many ships do you have? Kyung-soo asked in horror. Enough, was all Jae-hyun said. The remainder of the hegemony fleet in Earth's solar system was now completely surrounded. Most of their ships were damaged or destroyed. The few that remained were barely functional. Admiral, Dr. Yoonji whispered to Kyung-soo, our remaining ships cannot fight. Our weapons are nearly depleted. Our shields are failing. Kyung-soo realized that his military career was over. His empire was being destroyed. His entire species was facing extinction. Admiral Jae-hyun, he said, what must we do to make this stop? There is nothing you can do, Jae-hyun replied. Your government chose to break the rule. The penalty for breaking the rule is what you are seeing now. But surely some of us can survive. Our children, our families, they did nothing wrong. Your children would grow up to become conquerors, like you. Your families supported the wars that killed millions of innocent beings. Your entire civilization is built on the suffering of others. We have seen enough civilizations like yours to know that mercy only leads to future problems. As the remaining hegemony ships were destroyed one by one, Kyung-soo finally understood what he had done. He had not just attacked a primitive planet. He had awakened something that had been sleeping for 3 centuries, something that the entire galaxy had agreed should never be disturbed. The news of the Battle of Jupiter's shadow spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Within hours, every government, every military leader, and every civilian knew the truth. The humans were awake, and they were angry. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council building was in chaos. Representatives from 847 worlds tried to speak at once. Some demanded immediate surrender to Earth. Others called for a united defense against humanity. Most just sat in stunned silence. Ambassador Taemin watched the emergency session with growing despair. In one day, 3 centuries of peace and cooperation had been destroyed. The galaxy he knew was ending. Order! Order! Shouted the current council president, a Zellurian named Kelnara. We must discuss this crisis calmly. But there was no calm to be found. Every species understood what the destruction of the Veltar hegemony meant. If humanity could eliminate the galaxy's most powerful military force without losing a single ship, no one was safe. Elder Wu Jin sat quietly in his section, watching the panic around him. He had seen this before, 300 years ago, when the galaxy first learned to fear humanity. Now the lesson would be taught again. Commander Bo Ram approached him, her red scales pale with fear. Elder, what do we do? How do we stop them? Wu Jin looked at her with his ancient eyes. Child, you still do not understand. We cannot stop them. We never could stop them. The rule was never about containing them. It was about protecting ourselves from our own stupidity. Meanwhile, in space around Earth, Admiral Jae-hyun was receiving reports from human fleets throughout the galaxy. The reports were efficient and professional, but they told a story of total destruction. Admiral, said his communication officer, Captain Hae-won, we have received confirmation from all strike forces. Hegemony military installations in 200 systems have been eliminated. Their shipyards, weapons factories, and training facilities no longer exist. Jae-hyun nodded. Casualties? Minimal, sir. The enemy was not prepared for our technology or tactics. Most surrendered immediately when they realized what was happening. And civilian populations? Untouched, sir, as ordered. We have made it clear that we target only military and government facilities. Civilian ships and colonies have been left alone. This was important to Jae-hyun and to all humans. They were not monsters who killed innocent people for pleasure. They were soldiers who eliminated threats to their survival. The difference mattered to them, even if it did not matter to their enemies. Sir, called another officer, we are receiving surrender offers from 17 different hegemony worlds. They want to negotiate terms. Terms? Jae-hyun asked. What terms could they possibly offer us? Complete surrender, sir. They offer to disband their military, pay tribute, and accept human governance. They seem to think we want to rule them. Jae-hyun almost smiled. It was a bitter smile. They still do not understand. Send them our standard response. The standard response was simple. The human government has no interest in ruling alien worlds. We are interested in ensuring that you never threaten us again. Your government will be dissolved. Your military will be disbanded. Your leaders will be removed. What happens to your people after that is your choice, not ours. This message confused most alien species. They expected conquerors to want slaves, tribute, or territory. They did not expect conquerors who simply wanted to be left alone. But humanity's response made perfect sense to humans. They had never wanted an empire. They had wanted peace. When that peace was broken, they restored it in the most permanent way possible. On Earth, President Ji-hai was meeting with the Human Council to plan the next phase of their response. The battle in their solar system had been just the beginning. Now came the hard part, making sure it never happened again. The hegemony is finished, reported Admiral In-soo, who commanded all human military forces outside the solar system. Their government has collapsed. Their worlds are in chaos. Most are begging us not to attack them. And the rest of the galaxy? President Ji-hai asked. Mixed reactions, replied Ambassador Young-yi, who had been monitoring galactic communications. Many species are offering immediate surrender and alliance. Others are trying to build defensive coalitions against us. A few are trying to hide from us entirely. President Ji-hai was quiet for a moment. She was a calm woman who had never wanted to lead humanity during a war. But history had given her no choice. Admiral In-soo, she said finally, I want you to make our position clear to every species in the galaxy. We are not interested in conquest. We are not interested in empire. We are interested in security. Any species that threatens us or our allies will be removed. Any species that leaves us alone will be left alone. Any species that helps us maintain peace will be protected. And if they refuse to choose, In-soo asked, then they have chosen. Deploy the fleet. The human expeditionary force was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Not because of its size, though it was massive. Not because of its weapons, though they were devastating. But because of its purpose. Most galactic wars were fought for territory, resources, or power. This war was being fought for something much simpler, the right to exist in peace. Captain Chan-woo commanded one of the expeditionary fleets. His force consisted of 500 ships, which was tiny by galactic standards, but each ship carried technology that was decades ahead of anything the enemy possessed. His first target was the Korvaxi Republic, a government that had decided to resist humanity rather than surrender. The Korvaxi had built a defensive line of 10,000 ships and called it the Wall. They believed it could stop any attack. Chan Wu's fleet approached the Wall without stealth, without tricks, and without surprise. The Korvaxi could see them coming, from light years away. This was intentional. Humans wanted other species to see what happened to those who chose war over peace. Korvaxi Republic, Chan Wu broadcast as his fleet approached. This is Captain Chan Wu of the Human Expeditionary Force. You have been offered the choice of peace. You have chosen war. We will now demonstrate why this was a poor decision. The Battle of the Wall lasted exactly 23 minutes. The Korvaxi defenders fought bravely and used their best weapons and tactics. It did not matter. Human weapons passed through their shields like they were made of air. Human ships moved through space in ways that made targeting impossible. Human technology turned the laws of physics into suggestions. When the battle ended, the Wall no longer existed. Neither did the Korvaxi military. Neither did the Korvaxi government. But the Korvaxi people were unharmed. As with all human military operations, only military targets had been attacked. Civilian populations were ignored unless they actively joined the fighting. Attention remaining Korvaxi leadership, Chan Wu broadcast after the battle. Your military is gone. Your government is dissolved. Your people may choose their own future. We recommend they choose peace. Similar battles were happening throughout the galaxy. Species that had allied with the hegemony found their defenses swept away. Governments that had supported the attack on Earth were removed from power. Military forces that had threatened human interests simply stopped existing. But it was not random destruction. Every human attack was carefully planned and precisely executed. Only those who had chosen war received war. Those who chose peace were protected from both humans and from other alien species who might try to take advantage of the chaos. The speed of the human advance shocked the galaxy. Within 1 month, every major military power that had opposed humanity was gone. Within 2 months, human fleets had visited every inhabited system in the galaxy, either as protectors or as destroyers. Species learned quickly to tell the difference. Human ships that arrived with weapons powered down came as protectors. Human ships that arrived with weapons active came as executioners. On the world of Altus 7th, the local government watched a human fleet approach their planet. The planetary defense coordinator, General Wu Sung, was receiving updates from his sensors. Sir, 50 human ships are approaching. Their weapons are powered down. They are broadcasting a message. What does the message say? General Wu Sung asked. They are offering us protection from hostile forces in exchange for a non-aggression treaty. They want to know if we need help maintaining order during the transition period. General Wu Sung had studied the reports from other worlds. Species that had accepted human protection had been treated well. Their governments had been allowed to remain in power as long as they maintained peace. Their economies had continued to function. Their people had been left alone. Send a reply, he ordered. Tell them we accept their protection and their treaty. Within hours, human ships were patrolling the space around Altus 7. Pirates and raiders who had been planning to attack the planet during the galactic chaos found themselves facing human warships instead. Most fled immediately. Those who did not were destroyed. This pattern repeated throughout the galaxy. Peaceful species found themselves under human protection. Aggressive species found themselves under human attack. The result was the fastest period of galactic pacification in recorded history. But not everyone was ready to accept the new order. The Krulon Confederation, one of the oldest and most powerful governments in the galaxy, decided to make a stand. They had ruled 500 systems. For over 1,000 years, they would not bow to upstart humans. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Jupiter's Shadow. The galaxy was quiet now, but it was not the same quiet that had existed before. This was the quiet of a universe that had learned to be very, very careful. Emperor Taeho stood on the balcony of his palace on New Geneva, looking out at the stars. He had not wanted to become an emperor. He had been a simple professor of history before the war began. But the Human Council had chosen him to lead the new galactic government, and he had accepted the responsibility. The title Emperor had been suggested by alien species who expected human leaders to want grand names and impressive ceremonies. Taeho thought it was silly, but it made the aliens more comfortable to have someone they could understand as a traditional ruler. "Your Majesty," said Director Chan Wu as he approached. Chan Wu managed the Integration Authority, the organization that helped alien species adapt to the new galactic order. "The morning reports are ready." Taeho turned from the stars. "What do they tell us today?" "Trade between systems is now 300% higher than it was before the war," Chan Wu reported. "Piracy is down 99%. Military conflicts between alien species have dropped to zero. The galactic economy is stronger than it has been in centuries. And the problems?" Chan Wu smiled slightly. "The Zalurian government is complaining again about having to follow human safety regulations for their mining operations. They say our rules are too strict." "How many miners died in Zalurian operations last year before we implemented the regulations?" Taeho asked. "Over 50,000, Your Majesty." "And how many have died since we implemented the regulations?" 12, and those were due to equipment failures that violated our maintenance requirements. Taeho nodded. "Send the Zalurians a copy of their own casualty reports. Sometimes people need to be reminded why rules exist." This was the reality of the new galactic order. Humans had not conquered the galaxy to become rich or powerful. They had conquered it to make it safe and efficient. Species that had spent centuries fighting each other were now working together. Governments that had oppressed their people were now required to provide basic rights and freedoms. Trade that had been disrupted by constant wars was now protected by human fleets. Most aliens had adapted well to human rule. They discovered that humans were more interested in results than in ceremony. If a species governed itself well, humans left them alone. If they provided for their people and maintained peace, humans protected them from outside threats. If they contributed to galactic trade and cooperation, humans helped them prosper. But species that failed to meet human standards found themselves under closer supervision. On the former hegemony world of Velkar, Ambassador Su Jin was meeting with the local provisional government. The planet's military leadership had been removed, but the civilian population was trying to rebuild their society. "Ambassador," said the provisional leader, a Veltari named Morkex, "our people are struggling to understand the new system. For centuries, we have been told that strength comes from conquest. Now you tell us that strength comes from cooperation." Sujin looked at the alien with patient eyes. She had been having similar conversations throughout the former hegemony territory. "Morkex, let me ask you a question. Under your old system, how many of your people died in wars?" I do not know the exact number." "I do. In the last century, your species lost 400 million people in military conflicts. Your economy spent 60% of its resources on weapons and warfare. Your people lived in constant fear of being drafted into military service." Sujin activated a holographic display showing statistics. "Since accepting human governance, your casualty rate from violence has dropped to nearly zero. Your economy is growing by 15% per year. Your people report higher satisfaction with their lives than they have in generations." Morkex studied the numbers. "But we are no longer independent. We must follow human laws and regulations." "That is true," Sujin agreed. "You have traded the freedom to make war for the security of guaranteed peace. Most species consider this a fair exchange." "And if we do not consider it fair?" Sujin's expression did not change, but her voice became slightly cooler. "Then you are free to leave human space. We will provide transportation to any uninhabited system where you can build your own society, but you will not be allowed to remain in the galaxy if you cannot live peacefully with others. This was the choice that humanity offered to all species. Accept peace and prosperity under human protection, or leave for the empty regions of space where they could not threaten anyone. Most chose to stay. In the former Galactic Council chambers, on Nexus Prime, Elder Wu Jin was making his final historical record. At over 800 years old, he had lived through the rise and fall of the old galactic order and the birth of the new one. Personal log, Elder Wu Jin, final entry, he spoke into his recording device. Today marks the end of my service as a galactic historian. Tomorrow I will retire to the peaceful gardens of Vorthak Prime, where I will spend my remaining years in contemplation. He paused, looking around the empty chamber where so many important decisions had once been made. Future historians will want to understand how the galaxy changed so completely in such a short time. The answer is simple. We forgot that peace is not natural. Peace must be enforced by those strong enough to maintain it and wise enough to use their strength properly. For 3 centuries, the human rule gave us peace by keeping the strongest species isolated. We prospered under this protection, but we became complacent. We began to believe that peace was our natural state, that violence was a thing of the past. The Veltar hegemony reminded us that this was not true. By breaking the rule, they showed us that there are always those who prefer conquest to cooperation. They also showed us what happens when such beings encounter those who are truly committed to peace. Wu Jin stood slowly, his old joints aching. The humans did not want to rule us. They wanted to be left alone. But when we proved that we could not be trusted to leave them alone, they took the responsibility of maintaining galactic peace upon themselves. Some call this conquest. I call it necessity. The universe is vast and dangerous. It requires guardians who are both strong enough to defeat any threat and wise enough to know when not to use their strength. Humanity has proven to be such guardians. Under their rule, the galaxy is more peaceful, more prosperous, and more just than it has ever been. They have given us something that we could not give ourselves: security. My final observation is this. We created the rule to protect ourselves from humanity's strength. We forgot that the rule also protected humanity from our weakness. When we broke the rule, we forced them to become what we had always feared they were. The irony is that what we feared was exactly what we needed. Elder Wu Jin finished his recording and walked slowly toward the exit. The great dome above him was dark now. There were no more debates, no more arguments, no more political struggles. There was only the quiet efficiency of human administration. On Earth, Admiral Sora was reviewing reports from throughout the galaxy. She had been promoted from her old position as human liaison to become the head of Galactic Defense Command. Her job was to make sure that the peace humanity had imposed would last. "Admiral," said her aide, Captain Do-hyun, "we have received the monthly reports from all sectors. Status is green across the board." "Any potential problems?" Sora asked. "There are rumors of some species in the Outer Rim considering forming a resistance movement. But our intelligence networks are monitoring the situation." Sora nodded. "Make sure they understand that resistance is futile, not because we are cruel, but because we are thorough. If they want to fight, they will lose. If they want to talk, we will listen. And if they want to leave, then we will help them pack." This was the final lesson that humanity had taught the galaxy. True strength was not the ability to destroy enemies, but the wisdom to know when destruction was necessary and when it was not. The new galactic order was not perfect. No government ever was, but it was stable, it was peaceful, and it worked. Trade flourished under human protection. Science advanced as species shared knowledge instead of hoarding it. Arts and culture thrived as beings had time to create instead of fight. Children grew up knowing that they would not die in wars. Parents knew that their worlds would not be conquered by aggressive neighbors. Merchants knew that their ships would not be attacked by pirates. Researchers knew that their discoveries would be used to help people, not to create better weapons. The old galaxy had been ruled by fear and competition. The new galaxy was ruled by efficiency and cooperation. Most beings preferred the new way. But the most important change was that humanity itself had changed. For 3 centuries, they had lived in isolation, growing stronger but remaining hidden. Now they were part of the galaxy again, but as its protectors, rather than just another species struggling for survival. Emperor Tai-Ho received a message from the Deep Space Exploration Fleet. Human ships were preparing to leave the galaxy entirely, heading for distant star systems where other galaxies might contain other civilizations. Your Majesty, the message read, we have learned all we can from our own galaxy. It is time to see what else the universe contains. We leave knowing that our home galaxy is safe and peaceful under your rule.